Welcome to the DL. This is the show where we talk about everything in the truck and equipment repair industry. It's my job to help inform and educate you on ways to help your business. We talk with technicians, business owners, associations, industry experts, manufacturers, and even a few you wouldn't think traditionally apply to your business. Welcome to the DL. I'm your host, Tyler Robertson, the CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. This is the show I love to do. I get to talk about everything to do with truck repair, entrepreneurship, and a little bit of both. So today I have a guest in here, and we're going to take a little bit of a step outside of, it touches repair, but it touches the transportation logistics side of it here a little bit as well. So with it, today I have Larry here with TruckSuite. So Larry, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Tyler. Thanks for the invite.
So not only is this your first time on a podcast show, but I got your boss behind the camera as well, right?
Yeah, they're sitting here making fun of me over here. But I'll focus on the task at hand. So no worries.
Well, good to have you here. Great to have people back in the studio. Great for people to be out traveling and everything. I'm really looking forward to things getting back to normal.
I'm glad I don't have to wear a mask for the podcast over here.
You know what? I'm just glad to have people back in the studio. So yeah. But let's just do this. At the end of the day, people may not have heard of TruckSuite. So at a very high level, and we'll kind of dig into it here.
Sure.
What is TruckSuite? How long have you guys been around for, and what do you guys do?
Several years ago, we came up with the plan to create TruckSuite, and it's more or less to help the little guy. There was a lot of issues in the past with is an owner-operator an employee of a carrier or not, or are they an independent contractor? And as you well know, there was several large fines that were put out to some of the carriers. So what we decided to do was put together a program that would support not only the carrier, but also the owner-operator. And some of the services and products had to do with escrows. As you well know, repairs and maintenance with these trucks are real important. So we assisted in helping build up an escrow for these owner-operators. We were able to locate equipment. We were able to locate financing for the equipment. We assisted with call centers. So when there was a breakdown, we were able to direct them to a repair facility. And we added other products on top of that. We built off of it: warranties, warranty financing, repair financing. And one of the things that has become real popular on the repair finance side is the fact that we use weekly payments. We try to match up the cash flow for those owner operators with weekly payments.
So, I sold used trucks before, years ago, right? This is before Service Manager, all this. And when we were a Western Star dealer, so we sold to a lot of owner operators. As an owner operator truck. And you either had the guys that came in that had great credit, they knew how to run a business and do all these things, and then the people that were trying to figure it out, right? They wanted to be their own boss, they wanted to have trucks. You could tell they weren't as financial savvy as some of the other guys and had been around as long enough. And there's 9 million trucks on the road today, so I don't know how many owner operators are out there. It's got to be a big number, I can imagine. But is it still that way? They're kind of all trying to figure out how to be their own business and be their own boss. And it sounds like those are kind of the things you guys are trying to help people with.
Yeah, we are. And as a matter of fact, we do take on a consultative role. One of the things we really, really try to do is we'll interview the carrier ahead of time. We want to make sure that the loads, the revenue that's going to be generated off that truck can sufficiently pay for that vehicle on a weekly basis. Sometimes, as you had mentioned, a lot of the owner-operators are not all that savvy when it comes to the financing, and we'll help them with that. We'll help them with the cash flow, and that's why we do weekly payments, because we try to match it up with the settlements that they get from the carriers on a weekly basis. So we help quite a bit there.
So I know in the diesel tech world, I see a lot of, the typical progression is someone's a diesel tech, they're working for somebody else, they're learning how to fix trucks, and then they decide, hey, I want to be my own boss. And whether that's a mobile maintenance operation or a repair shop, and then they're like, cool, they're their own boss, they're doing it, and they realize there's this whole business side of the equation. They know how to fix trucks really well. They don't know how to run their shop or how they should do things and efficiency and productivity and how to be the business side. Is it kind of like that way with truck drivers as well? They kind of make that migration from working for someone else and they want to be their own boss and work up that way?
There's a lot that goes on with these owner operators when they were drivers. They may have been fantastic drivers, hard workers, very diligent, but when they become owner operators, they kind of miss a few steps along the way, and we do help them with that. As a matter of fact, we even work with them from a tax standpoint and a bookkeeping standpoint to help. We've had owner operators enter into the program, and we talk to them about the finance part of it, and we'll say, well, geez, do you have a bookkeeper? And a lot of them will come back and say, well, yeah, I've had the same bookkeeper for 7 years. Well, do you take advantage of the depreciation, the expenses? And this is, well, my wife really doesn't know about all that, so we can help in that capacity as well. So we try to raise the bar a little bit for these guys.
It sounds a lot like people that run truck shops, the independent side, right? It's like, hey, my wife does my books, my sister does my website, and they're just trying to find whatever resource they have to get their business going. And it's a hard hump to get over a lot. And the point I want to drill down is one you kind of mentioned twice, and that's the weekly payments. So I know, like, when I buy a car or a house, I do monthly payments. Why do you guys do like the weekly payment option for these?
If you think of how most of the lenders were set up too on the financing of the truck, it's a big nut that they've got to get hit with once a month, whether it's the 1st, the 15th, or the 30th. So what we try to do is just even out that cash flow.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize, a lot of the owner operators will come in and they'll have this big wad of cash from the settlement, and they'll spend it,
yep.
and it won't go to where it's supposed to go. Or a lot of times, if they know they need a PM that's coming up, they may not have money for the PM or a set of tires or some of the wear items like brakes. So that's why we help them budget it from the escrow standpoint, and we help with call center as well, direct them to as you well know how important it is to have a credible repair facility to do the work, so when that work is done and they leave, they don't have to come back in a week or 2 weeks or a month or a couple months.
So a lot like repair shops, a lot of these guys, these independents or mobile guys, they're not doing monthly or quarterly financial statements or even annual, right? They're just looking at their checking account, figuring out what they have in there, and they don't see all the like you said. There's points they're cash rich, and then there's points they're cash poor, right? Because of the flow of the way it goes.
Yeah, that's true. And one of the things we do a lot of on the education side with a warranty, the importance of having a warranty on that vehicle and keeping that truck on the road. Well, what we also found out that warranties don't always cover everything, and there may not be sufficient monies in an escrow account, and that's where the repair financing comes in. So let's say hypothetically there's a warranty claim for $20,000. The warranty company takes care of 12. Well, there's a shortfall of $8,000.
Yep.
Somebody's got to make up that $8,000, and that's where we step in and we help with them in the budget. Now, we'll also try to manage the cash flow. Again, I keep bringing cash flow up, but we don't want to necessarily finance it for 24 months. If we got to go 36 months on that repair, that's what we'll do. If there's money in escrow, we may want to leave the money in escrow for those tires or for the brakes, for some of those wear items.
So, and you've mentioned escrow a couple times too. Can you just kind of break it down in the simplest fashion, I guess, when you're talking escrow for a driver? What is that, and how does it work, and how does it help them?
Typically, when we work with a carrier, we will go ahead and schedule out all the fees and costs for that owner operator. Let's say it's $800 a week. Out of that $800 will come a truck payment, a warranty payment, and whatever's left, put it in escrow for a rainy day, so to speak. And we're looking at probably around $200 to $250 a week on the average. So you're looking at escrowing $800 to $1,000 in a given month. And that's not numbers we just came up with, but we ask around, some of the fleet service companies as to what do you think is a good number to put away. So that's what we do. That's why we came up with those numbers.
Yeah. So on the weekly stuff, when I first heard it, I was like, man, I hate paying bills once a month, right? Like now I got to pay my bill 52 times a year. Do you get that pushback from people, or is it kind of just a relief knowing, hey, I just know every week I bring in X, Y is going out, and there's some money left
think in terms of where that money's coming from. A lot of times when we work with those carriers, the money comes directly from the carrier.
Yeah.
So that owner operator doesn't even see the money in the checking account, and that really makes it easy because it's almost peace of mind. Because we'll get that money directly from the carrier. They already know that money is being directed to the right place, and it's easier for them. We even took a poll prior to rolling out the program and asked these owner operators firsthand, would this be helpful for you? And we got glowing responses. 95+% said, hey, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, no, it makes a total lot of sense. The one thing I'm interested in, excuse me there. the one thing I'm interested in here is the fact that the economy is booming right now. New truck orders are out 12 to 18 months, which means there's more used trucks on the road. Are you guys seeing? Have you guys seen any effect of that at all, in terms of like the client base, or is there any ripple effects that you're seeing from your business side of it?
Well, we are. Obviously, those prices are up. And what does that affect? Your weekly payment. So we have to make sure that they're getting into a truck that's priced properly. And most importantly is to make sure that they can go ahead and afford those payments. Now, their mileage is up. They're making more money. So they can probably afford more today. But what happens in 6 months when the economy turns? Or there's a cycle that there is a downturn.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not making as much, or maybe they're not running as many miles, or whatever it might be. Then they don't think of those things. We help them forecast that stuff out. And again, we put a lot of emphasis on cash flow to making sure that they can afford it. And not only afford the truck and all the expenses surrounding that truck, but they all have families. They have to put some money away. They have to save. They have to do all those things. And sometimes when you go from a driver to being an owner-operator, those things are not always, forecasted. They don't see all that stuff.
Yeah, it comes to the business side of it, right? Like they're just used to, when you work for somebody else, you know your paycheck's gonna be there every Friday, and you got your other personal bills. It changes a lot, whether it's driving truck and owning truck, repair shops, or doing whatever. It's just the mentality has to shift.
Well, it's tough with a lot of these owner-operators too. And my background is commercial lending for 40 years. I hate to admit that long, but for 40 years. And a lot of the owner-operators are at a disadvantage. They pay more for parts. They pay more for insurance. They pay more for financing. They pay more for everything, fuel, the whole deal. And we help try to mitigate some of that and reduce the costs. Even something as simple as setting them up with a call center.
Yeah.
Because now, in most of the companies, most of the shops that we'll work with in the call center, we try to make sure that they go to a repair facility that'll do a good job.
Yeah.
And when that truck comes out, they don't have to worry about the truck not being repaired properly.
So these companies you're working with, do they have to have A and B credits in order to get some of these services, or how do you guys do that, right?
If we see A and B credits, we're doing good. But most of what we're seeing, and I'll use the term challenged, just about every credit we see is a challenge credit. And just about every one, there's limited funds to put down on the truck. We do like skin in the game, so we will ask for some money up front. But for the most part, there's stories. Now, having said that, there are a lot of life events that happen which may have caused the challenge credit. Like, for example, medical issues that come up, and it'll tarnish the credit. So when we look at a lot of these credits, we understand that there's going to be problems, and a lot of these things we put off to the side. We don't just go off FICO scores.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. There's always a story, and we like to listen to the story. We understand it. We've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, again, very similar to what we see when doing people that want to buy diagnostic tools, right? You got the certain percentage that are very good, but there's a vast majority where it's the challenge credit, like you said, and they've had life events, or they're trying to figure out how to be a business owner and not work for somebody else. And there's some growing pains you go through that stuff. So it's difficult.
It is. And one other thing I want to mention too, there's a fine line. We have a lot of the old school owner operators that know how to work on their trucks, been around doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And you have the millennials that are coming in, and I've read, articles upon articles where 50% of our trucking industry, are going to be millennials, I think at the end of this year, for that matter. So we have to cater to both sides of it, both the old school guys and gals and the new ones coming in. And as you well know, there is a huge shortage of owner operators and drivers and whatnot. So we do have to be conscious of who our customer base, who are our members.
Yeah,
we have to look at all that.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I've noticed is a lot of the I just turned 43, right? But a lot of the people I see,
I wish.
But what I see is a lot of 20, 30, even young 40-year-olds are just saying, I'm not going to work for the man. I'm going to go do my own thing, and it seems like that's a growing trend. And I guess when I think about it now, owning trucks, it's a great industry. There's no shortage of freight ever to haul.
If you get some help and you know what you're doing, you can make a great career out of it. And I'll give you a quick example of a young lady that we had talked to bring on board in our as a member. She was an administrator for 30 years, and she retired, and she wanted to see the country. So she thought, what better way to see the country is to start driving a truck?
Get paid for it.
Get paid for it. I
Yeah.
could, and very knowledgeable, professional lady. And I asked her, I said, what are some of your biggest fears?
Yeah.
You're going out on the road, you're a woman, you have a year's worth of experience. While you know a lot from your previous career, you got a lot to learn here. She said, walking into a repair shop.
Yeah.
She said, because they could tell me anything and I've got to believe them. So in those areas, we can help too. As a matter of fact, we do a good job of actually assisting with auditing some of the repairs. We have a gentleman in our office, our COO, Alan McDonald's an expert in that area, and we look at those invoices, and we look to see to make sure that the repairs are being quoted are necessary, and of course some of the pricing is in line. She said, "How do I get in? How do I get some of that? Because that takes away one of my biggest fears." So those are some of the things we do to help that may not be, you don't see or not mentioned all the time, but they're there.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to help that same thing from our side of the equation, which is the repair shops. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to help repair shops make sure they have the right training, make sure they have the right tools, make sure they have the right access to support, which is like our call center, because we know people that are making the investment in like that are, they're going to take care of their customers better, they're going to be more efficient at fixing the trucks, they're probably going to do better quality work. So it really kind of goes hand in hand on, drivers want to make sure they have they're comfortable with who's doing the repairs, and repair shops want to make sure customers are. It's just trying to bridge that gap, which can be a little bit difficult.
Well, I could tell you one thing right now that we're implementing and working with the repair financing is that let's get a readout, diagnostic printout of what's wrong with the truck going in.
Yep.
Let's see what repairs are being done.
Yep.
And we really like to see how that truck looks on the way out the door.
Yep.
One of the issues we run into and why we're so conscious of that is because if we lend a fair amount of money on a repair and that owner-operator goes back out on the road and in 3 months there's another significant repair, we almost have to make that second loan to make sure the first loan gets paid.
Yeah.
So we're being a lot more conscious of that truck, how it comes in, what's being done to it, and how does it leave. Progressive damage is not good.
Yeah.
So, and you're more of an expert on that than I am.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people, when they see these podcasts or listen to them, they don't understand. You guys are here not just to do a podcast show. We're here talking about things and collaborating and doing those things, and that's where a lot of it comes from. And it's exactly what you said, and then it's also monitoring that vehicle after it left, and hopefully getting ahead of the problem before it's a problem. So I think we're all heading down the same path, and being able to do those things is better for everybody. It's better for the repair shops. It's better for the people that are supplying the services and products and support, and it's better for the customer at the end of the day.
No doubt. It makes them more efficient. It helps us with the budgeting. Unforeseen failures is not a good thing. As a matter of fact, we've had several conversations about diagnostics versus the predictive aspect of it.
Yeah.
We're trying to mitigate some of those risks ahead of time. It's one thing to know what's wrong with the truck after it breaks down and how to fix it, but we're trying to mitigate, eliminate some, if we can, eliminate some of the roadside events, because then if that happens, if truck's on the side of the road, it's either a tow, which they're not cheap, or it's a mobile repair on the side of the road, which is not cheap. Yep. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve and doing whatever we can to look more on the predictive side.
Yeah, I think the whole industry's shifting. I've talked about this in a couple episodes. It's, trucks on the road, truck breaks down, then it's diagnosed, then it's repaired, and then it's validated, right? And that whole thing shifts once you can start getting data off the vehicle and getting call centers and people involved remotely and planning things, and it's better for everybody. So I think we get there as an industry. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but technology, and we've showed you some of our stuff, it's going fast. If you look back 2 or 3 years ago even.
It is going fast, and when you look at the progress that's been made, it's been made a lot with some of the larger fleets that'll adopt that, the predictive side of it. They have the financial wherewithal to watch their trucks, either from a personnel standpoint or a financial standpoint. But again, it's the little guy that has that technology available to them, but they can't pull it off. Well, so we're there to help.
I mean, I look at it this way. You kind of look at what happened with emissions. Emissions came in. That changed the game for a lot of used truck buyers, sellers, insurance companies, extended warranties, because now you got DPF filters, EGR coolers, and valves, and all these expensive things that everyone had to deal with all of a sudden, caught everyone off guard. And it caught repair shops off guard. They didn't know how to diagnose them. People were trying to delete things. And there's a whole thing that happened. And the fact is diesel laptops doesn't exist unless this whole emission requirement kind of came in. That was a big part of why we're here. And there's other companies. We're good friends with Steve Hoke at Redline Emission Products. They sell emission products. Like, that company didn't exist before emission requirements were in. But I say all that to say, I kind of look at what's happening with analytics and predictives and remote diagnostics is kind of like the next frontier where everything's shifting to. And companies that kind of get ahead of it are going to be the big winners in this thing, and the ones that are figuring it out 5 years from now are the ones that are going to be wondering where all their business went.
Yeah, one thing we also do at TruckSuite is we do look for, whenever we find something out in the marketplace that will help our members, we'll pursue it. We'll do our analysis, we'll look at it, and if there's a need and it's not out there in the marketplace, we'll create something. And we did that recently with a VRP program, Vehicle Return Plan, which, if you're familiar with GAP, it's triggered by an insurance event. We've done it with life events, critical illness, disability, loss of a CDL, where we have the ability to go ahead and make payments on that truck to keep that owner-operator in the truck, or if something happens to where they do not want to remain in the trucking industry, they can turn their vehicle in, and we'll be able to make up the negative equity in the shortfall. So we're always looking for new, innovative products, programs, anything to help our customer base, and they really appreciate it.
Well, that's what I love about you guys. Every time I talk to you guys or get an email or a text, I'm like, oh, they got another idea, which is great, because I'm the same way, right? I'm just like, throw ideas out there, and eventually some stick very, very well. And one of the points I wanted to talk about here too is, you mentioned the repair financing from kind of the owner of the vehicle side. Can you kind of talk about it a little bit from the other side of the equation with the actual repair shops?
Well, we're finding out that some of these products that we're introducing for the carriers and the repairs work for the carriers too, because a lot of times if there's a breakdown and the owner operator doesn't have the funds, they're going back to the carrier for the money. And they're not in the lending business, so we get referrals from carriers as well. But we've been talking about, it helps the owner operator, but from a repair shop standpoint, it really helps them out. I'm sure a lot of times they have owner operators come in, small fleets come in, and they need a repair that needs to get done to put that truck back on the road, and they don't have the funds to do it. They just don't. So we do work with repair shops. It's a growing program for us, and we're seeing the benefit in some of these products with that we're branching out into other areas. So yeah, it is helpful quite a bit.
Well, I love everything you guys are doing over there. If someone wants to get a hold of TruckSuite, or get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Our website, www.trucksuite.com, or call me, Larry Wailuda, 949-910-9617. If you just get to our office, even with our main number, we have a lot of really qualified and astute customer service managers that can help. But it's real easy. Real easy to get a hold of us. Or they could call you. Yeah,
I am not giving out my personal phone number on the public. I have to change mine every couple of years. I think it gets out there once in a while. So hopefully you don't get hammered up with a bunch of like age, sex questions or something weird.
Well, I'll filter them out of my phone. So,
well, it was very great having you on. I learned a ton. Great to see you guys in person. Love what you guys are doing over there, and really look forward to keep working with the guys over at TruckSuite and see what you guys come up with.
Again, appreciate the invite. It's good spending time with you. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks very much.
As we end every episode, it's just not diagnostics. It's diagnostics done right. And next time we're gonna make sure Alan and Lynn get back here in front of the camera.
So I could sit and watch them and poke fun at them.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you all. Take care.